Campbell River and the surrounding area is known for a few very specific things, namely big fish, big trees, and big weather events. Every year, our coastline is pummeled by strong southeaster storms, king tides, and when combined with high flows of the Campbell River, can cause a lot of challenges in the community. Today we're going to be looking at how local photographers Godfrey and May Baldwin, in combination with the Campbell River Newspaper, the Courier Islander, documented these big weather events during the period from 1948 until 1964, a period of unprecedented growth and change in the community of Campbell River. We see here the first photograph taken by the Baldwins to appear in the Courier Islander newspaper. Before this, most photographs in the paper were of national or international events and weren't taken locally. The caption for this image says that the above picture depicts a scene in the vicinity of the Campbell River Yard premises, and the total flooding encompassed a considerable area. Steps are being taken to secure adequate drainage of the low-lying area, and it is anticipated that the improvements contemplated in the vicinity will prevent a repetition of excessive flood conditions in the future. The Courier Islander also reported on earlier storms. Apparently, the winter and spring of 1935 were also bad. The Campbell River flooded Campbellton, and some of the farmers there had to use a rowboat to get out to the barn to feed and milk the cows. And the water came up over the road, and the section between the bakery and community hall was under several feet of water. The kids had a regular ferry service inaugurated and were kept pretty busy. They couldn't get over the Campbell River Bridge because the approach on the north side was washed away. The only way folks at that end of the road could get into Campbell River was to row over to the spit and walk into town. A big dump of snow in January 1950 brought beautiful scenes like this one, but also a lot of challenges in the local community. A series of photos in the local paper displayed some of the challenges brought by this particular storm. This image shows a bus that slid off the road just south of Campbell River. Other vehicles weren't moving at all. One of the lasting consequences of this storm was the collapse of the community hall roof in Campbellton. It was a real center for the community. The community hall hosted dances, performances, movies, and even boxing matches. Although this image didn't make it into the paper, it shows another view of the damage caused to the community hall. The community hall was not the only structure lost to this big snow. There was a scouts hall that had just recently been completed, constructed entirely by volunteer labor, that was also destroyed. This image shows Bill, owner of Bill's second-hand store in Campbellton, shoveling the snow off of his roof to prevent a similar disaster. Although the big snow brought the community to a standstill for a few days, even trapping some visitors from Camp 5 who were unable to return home for several days, it also brought some lighthearted fun. As this caption shows, that the safest way to travel the snow-filled roads on Upper Vancouver Island is in a horse-drawn sleigh, as Ben Fellows demonstrates. This and the following images show the accumulation of driftwood at the Campbell River Wharf. This image was the first time one such photograph appeared in the paper in early January 1951. The caption reads, "Boats were imprisoned behind the breakwater by driftwood, and logs washed into the harbor by strong gales and high tides recently. Entrance to the float between the tip of the breakwater and the wharf was a solid mass of logs. Similar conditions existed at other island points." In 1953, the paper documented that logging debris jammed into the Campbell River small boat harbor during recent storms has provided a nuisance to boat owners trying to leave the harbor, but a boon to those who would find their firewood on the beach. Many residents have cut up their winter supply of wood from the debris. In 1954, the paper reads, "Annual visitation of logs clogging Campbell River small boat harbor is currently taking place. Storms during the past week loosed much driftwood from beaches up and down the coast, and the usual number of logs have found their way into the local harbor." In 1958, when the driftwood appeared again, the paper read, "One reason why Campbell River needs an extension to the breakwater. This picture shows the small boat harbor choked with logs blown in by a southeast wind." In 1963, the paper recorded a related incident where high winds over the weekend played havoc with log booms belonging to Elk River Timber and Bakey Brothers, strewing logs from Campbell River to Willow Point. A beachcombing ban has been set to allow proper reclamation of the timber. About 20 sections went adrift. In 1956, a severe storm hit Campbell River, and the damage caused in the community was carefully documented by the Courier Islander. Damage running into thousands of dollars was caused in the brief space of 2 hours here last Thursday morning when the vicious combination of high tides and strong winds battered Campbell River's waterfront. The main loss was centered on the waterfront, where a seawall back of the Beehive Cafe, Laver's store, and the big garage was battered to pieces by waves and logs. Cigarettes, candy, and other supplies were ruined by the seawater, which at one time came up almost to the ground floor of the building. In addition, considerable damage was done to the electric motors used in the operation of machines in the cafe. Fire Chief Oscar Tulin and other members of the fire department attempted to keep the water down with pumps, but they were unable to beat the sea, and it was only after the tide receded that they were able to pump out all the water. The paper goes on to record that the seawall, constructed at a cost in excess of $5,000 only 2 years ago, broke up quickly before the fury of the oncoming waves. Logs carried by the waves pounded the wall steadily during the height of the storm. Quickly loosening them from the piles, and planks from the wall were shortly strewn over the area between the shoreline and the buildings. The island highway through the town was littered with deadwood tossed up by the giant waves. Logs were strewn over a good part of the street from Alex McLean's menswear down to King's Service, with the main collection being tossed up opposite the area from the theater to Marshall's Sporting Goods. Not all winter storms brought doom and gloom and damage to the community. The big snow and cold snap of the winter of 1959 allowed for a lot of winter fun, as the following photo series appeared in the newspaper. This particular photo reads, "The recent cold snap was enjoyed by many as skates were dug out of storage. Outdoor skating fun for young and old alike, but the season was all too short." When the weather got cold enough, the Hudson's Farm at North Campbell River was a popular skating spot. This photo caption reads, "Ice skating in Campbell River on the Tom Hudson property along the Duncan Bay Road. It happened, and not even the Chamber of Commerce can hide the fact. Here are 6 lovelies to prove it." Perhaps my favorite caption from this series of photos reads, "Hockey season opens and closes in Campbell River. No losses, no wins for local team. Short season."